guys, today we are talking all about Royal Caribbean's Wonder of the Seas. Now, Wonder of the Seas is their third largest ship. At one point it was the largest, but it's been replaced by Icon and Utopia of the Seas. Now, the first voyage for Wonder was in 2022, so it is a fairly new ship. It's only 2 years into sailing, so it was in tip-top shape, and honestly, I was really impressed with this ship. So let's begin by talking about my 5 favorite things on Wonder of the Seas. For number 1, I loved the food options on this ship. They had so many specialty options, fast food, quick service kind of options, as well as the main dining room and the buffet. I mean, food galore. I probably gained 5 pounds on this cruise. I did take the steps sometimes, so maybe that helped. But yeah, the food options are endless. And not only are there a ton of dining options, but there are a ton of dining options that are included in your ticket, which I think is a real plus. So for things that you do not have to pay extra for, you have Sorrento's, which has some pretty banging, like bomb pizza for what it is. You would think, okay, cruise pizza, standard, basic. I can't say that. Sorrento's pizza really hits, especially after you've had a few margaritas or rum punches. Okay, so you got Sorrento's. You have the Boardwalk, the doghouse. It's like a hot dog stand. That is also included. A lot of the cafes, so like the Park Cafe and the other little cafe right there on the Royal Promenade, even though you have to pay for your beverages, so if you're going to get a coffee or a tea, you have to pay more. The snacks and the little wraps and paninis are included, so you don't have to pay extra for that. Then there's El Loco Fresh, which is up on the pool deck. It's like a Mexican Tex-Mex kind of themed food. That is included. Of course, the buffet, Windjammers, which has a variety of food from around the world, whatever you want. They're open breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And in addition to this, there's the Solarium Cafe or Bistro. I think for dinner, you have to make a reservation, but breakfast is like complimentary. You go in, you can take your kids, even though it's in an adult only area, they can only go during breakfast, and they're also open for lunch. Now, in terms of things you have to pay for, there are specialty restaurants that are very good. There's the Mason Jar, which is more southern themed, and there's Chops, a steakhouse. There's Hooked, the seafood restaurant. 150 Central Park is located on the 8th deck. It's right in Central Park. And my favorite of them all is having Starbucks at sea. I went to the Starbucks stand every single day. That black tea lemonade hit different at sea. Whatever you're in the mood for, they have on board. The main dining room, which provides dinner every night, they have different themes each night. So one night could be French themed, then you have Italian, Mexican, there was a Caribbean night, a formal night, and the food was really, really good. I can't really think of one meal where I was like, I don't like this. Now, obviously I had favorites, but there weren't very many where I was like, this food is disgusting. The second thing that I loved about Wonder of the Seas was the shows and the nightlife that they offered. Now, I am a Disney Cruise Line girly. I love Disney Cruise Line. It's still one of my favorites to cruise on. I will be sailing on Disney again in the future, so no need to worry about that. But I must say that the shows on the Wonder were of excellent quality and performance value. The Intense Water Show was fantastic. Then there was the Crash Factor, X Factor. I can't remember. It was like a superhero kind of Broadway style show. That one was really good. And the ice skating show that we saw was also phenomenal. Great performers. You know, honestly, I was blown away. I was expecting corny, not so good quality, and that was not the case, because I've been on other cruise ships where the performance value just isn't there. These kind of rival Disney, and honestly, Disney's Broadway shows are my favorite. Like they hit every time, but Royal is coming at them. They are trying to compete, it seems, because it offered so much more. And I think the variety of having a water show, an ice skating show, and a more kind of like scripted show with the superhero one, it gave a good variety. It really spoke to each and every person on board. So if you're not like a big sing-along kind of person, if you don't like, you know, those kind of Broadway style shows, then you get the action in the water show. It really just reached out to a wide audience, and I was blown away by it. Similar to the shows, the nightlife, and just the overall offering in terms of entertainment on the ship was very impressive. So this is going to be my third thing that I really loved. I feel like they catered to everybody. So you had comedy shows, you had magic shows, you had karaoke, you had bingo, you had the casino if you wanted to go. There was laser tag for the kids. There were so many options that I could never do it and see it all. Now, some of the things, and this may get into the what I didn't like category, but some of the things on Royal you do have to pay additional for. So the whole nickeling, diming thing, that actually does come into play here. So if you want to do the flow rider, if you want to do the cupcake sprinkling class, like those kinds of things, you do have to pay an additional fund for. So some things we just didn't do because we didn't want to pay the extra money. But there were things to do that were free, included in your ticket. You have that dry slide, the Abyss, which is a dark kind of slide. It's dry. You go down from like the 16th deck to maybe the 6th deck. I can't remember. But it's fun. And honestly, I was terrified because you go into like this fish that looks like it's from the deep, deep sea. I was terrified, but it's really fun. It's nothing to be scared of. And yeah, my kids loved it. They have that Wonder Playscape where the kids could play. So a day at sea is not, you know, the worst thing in the world because they have so much for you to do. The fourth thing that I loved about the Wonder of the Seas was their easy embarkation and disembarkation process. It was a breeze getting onto this ship. I've actually made a video about the process. If you've never, sailed with Royal Caribbean and you're wondering what that process is like, I will link it up above, down below, and you can check it out. But I really love that they are so efficient, so well organized. For a type A like me, being organized is important to me. Like knowing where to stand, when to go, having the crew that you need to support a very large amount of people getting on a ship. I look at those things. Royal Caribbean is a well-oiled machine in this category, and it wasn't just for embarkation day. It was whenever we got off the ports, there were hardly ever long lines coming back onto the ship, and this ship can hold thousands of people. So I really do tip my hat off to them for being able to organize such large amount of people and do it so efficiently. Now, number 5 is probably the most important to me, and that is that the Wonder of the Seas beds are heavenly. The beds on Wonder of the Seas are super comfortable. Typically, I have a hard time sleeping on a cruise for the first night or so because it's just a new environment and I typically just kind of toss and turn. I don't sleep well. When my head hit that pillow, I was out like a light. The mattress, the bedding, the pillow, the everything was just so cozy and comfortable. Like it was just the perfect mattress. I have been on other cruise ships where the mattress is just not it. Not Disney, that's my baby. But I was pleasantly surprised because I know that Wonder of the Seas typically takes like 2 queens or 2 twins and pushes them together to make a bigger bed. So I was kind of like, is there going to be like one big like lump in the middle or like a little drop there? And there wasn't. I don't know what they do. They must put like a liner or something over it. But the mattress, the bed was super comfortable. So that is always a plus. And that is everything that I absolutely loved about this ship. There were other things, but those are my standouts. Now let's dive into the things that I was not a fan of. And honestly, looking back on it, there's only really 2 or 3 things that I'm like, not my favorite. Number 1 was, surprisingly, the kids club. My children did not enjoy Adventure Ocean that much. They really didn't. I have a 5-year-old and an 8-year-old. And honestly, I was shocked when I walked into the tiny, tiny kids club. For all those children, I mean, you're looking at thousands of people. So at least a few hundred children are on the ship at one given time. I don't think there was enough resources or enough like play material for that amount of children. They at times seemed understaffed. like they were overwhelmed. There was only one like check-in or check-out desk, so they could only serve one customer or one passenger family at a time, which I found really odd. So pick up and drop off times were like it took a half hour sometimes. And on Royal Caribbean, they actually charge you if you go over 10 o'clock. If you stay past 10, they charge you per hour. So you really have to pick up your kids like 9:30 in order to not get charged that extra $10 or $20. I can't remember how much it is, because you be waiting in a long line. They only serve one family at a time. So I just didn't understand that. I was wondering, was this an afterthought? It seemed like an afterthought, the kids club. So we weren't too impressed with that. Now I have heard really good things about the junior program, which is maybe the 3 to 5 year old. Truthfully, my daughter should have been in that one, but she wanted to go with her brother. So they allowed her to age up after observing her and seeing that she was mature enough to be in the older group. So is that part of the reason my kids didn't like it? Possibly for my daughter, but for my son, who is usually happy-go-lucky, very easily entertained, and gets along with a good variety of kids, I found it very odd that he did not enjoy it. Because of this, my children didn't want to go to Kids Club as much as they have on other cruises, and so we did a lot of family time, which is okay. We had tons of stuff to do on the ship, so we spent more time in like the play areas and the pool, and they did laser tag, so we did explore the ship as a family. But you know, as parents, you want a little like night out with your significant other or just time to yourself. And so we found that some of that time got cut into because we had to keep our kids with us because they just didn't want to go to Kids Club. Now for the second thing I wasn't really a fan of, I didn't realize that Royal Caribbean, or at least the Wonder, did not have a laundry room. I don't know why. I feel like I've been on older ships that have. We almost ran out of clothes, or clean clothes. Luckily, I am an overpacker anonymous, me. So I had enough for all of us, but it was cutting it kind of close. I had to get creative with our outfits. So yeah, I was just shocked that they didn't. Now they do have kind of like you fill out the form and say, oh, you can dry clean my things. But as you know, those prices are quite expensive. So you're looking at like $4 for a pair of pants, whereas that's a whole cycle if you self-wash. If you are sailing on the Wonder, make sure you pack enough clothes or be prepared to pay very high prices for dry cleaning. The last thing that I'm going to mention has to do with that app. Royal Caribbean's app stressed me out. Lots of glitches we found. Also the chat feature, like someone would send you a message and you wouldn't get it until the next day. Little things like that. This is not a big deal. Like, I don't need the app 24/7. Obviously, a lot of your bookings and just knowing what's happening on the ship involves the app. So it is good when it's up and working well. But it isn't going to make or break my cruise. It's definitely not a reason that I wouldn't sail on Wonder of the Seas again, or even with Royal Caribbean. It's not a big deal. But yeah, there are some glitches there, and hopefully they get those fixed. Even though I have those little critiques at the end, if you ask me, would I sail on Wonder of the Seas again? The answer is 100%. Yes, I loved it. And if you are interested in Wonder of the Seas and research and seeing if you would like it, I would highly recommend it for people of all ages, whether you're a family, a couple, a solo traveler, a multi-generational family. I think everyone would have a great time on this ship. There's lots to do and they take very good care of you. Now, if you have ever sailed on the Wonder of the Seas, comment down below what was your favorite thing. What is the one thing that you absolutely love about Wonder of the Seas? I would love to read it and see if any of us had the similar idea. And I will see you guys in the next video. I hope that all is well and take care. Bye, guys.